Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm joined today by Gary Mahler. Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Nick. Good to see you.
It's always good to
I
see
like our
you.
social distancing. It's not as close as we usually are in the gym, but
No, but we're making it work, and
we are.
we're setting a good example.
We are totally setting a good example.
Uh, Gary and I go way back. I want to say we go back since 2007, or about that time, right? Um,
Yeah.
Gary's a professional coach, and well, you know what? Before I introduce you, why don't you just tell everyone who you are and what you do for a living?
Well, I'm Gary Mahler, and basically, um, instead of telling what I do, I'll tell you who I am.
We can go with
So
there.
basically, yeah. Um, all my life, I was never at home. And basically, what I do, my job in the world is to bring people home to themselves as if for the very first time. One of the things that I really got from meeting you, you knew who you were and you were always at home with yourself. That's what attracted me to you. And I think that's why you do such great work with people.
Thank you.
Me, on the other hand, I was never at home where
No,
I was. And I think that's a perfect lead in. When you met me, I was starting to get at home,
you were.
but basically who I am is infinite stillness. That's what I do in the world. And you think, who is this nutty guy? This is what he does.
Right.
Um, I got a strong idea that in my past, all the successes that I had when I owned a business, I owned a manufacturing company that was very successful. Um, that's what I did until I realized I hated that. Well, I knew for a very long time I hated that, but I was scared to do something different. And around the time that I met you, I was reinventing. I just had disassembled my life and I was reassembling it. So basically, that's what I do. I'm kind of like an architect for people. Like we are going to tear down something, we're
Right.
going to build something new. So,
Right. Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I know
mm,
um, you ran Mahler Industries for over 20 years. And, for those that don't know, Mahler Industries at the time was, I think it still is, though, too, was
it
regard. Yeah,
is.
it
Yeah,
still
we
is. So,
sold it in 2008, and it's doing great. It's doing gangbusters.
right. It's a regarded CNC manufacturing
That's right.
facility, right, here in British Columbia.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were doing very well at that. And I think that's when I met you, right at the tail end before you left there. What made you
Yeah.
decide to leave, like, all that success?
It's not what I wanted to do, and I just didn't know what else I wanted to do.
Right.
I ran this thing. There was a good 30 employees there. I went into the office. I was always stressed about work, stressed about the orders, stressed about my employees. It's not really what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And what else was I going to do? At 40,
Right.
how do you just pick up and leave something where you're making some pretty killer dough?
Sure.
You built up a company, and let's face it, who's going to hire you after you've never had a boss or never worked for someone else? And I
Right.
had no idea what I wanted to do.
Right.
So that's right around the time that I met you.
Yeah. And
So
so,
I basically disassembled that, and I didn't want to continue living that nightmare.
okay.
Didn't want to have Groundhog Day continue. So I kind of slowly, when I met you, was disassembling that.
And, when you and I first met too, I remember you were telling me that that type of work was also affecting your health to some degree.
Yes. Oh
Um,
man, when I met you, I was still at the point where for no reason, I was just falling like a stack of bricks. Like I would
right.
just faint. There's a lot of things going on that behind the scenes that my doctor couldn't find anything physically wrong with me, but I would just like, it was just too much.
So did you just decide one day, did you just wake up and say, I'm out of here? Or was it a slow transition?
Man, it was like by the time I met you, I had already been transitioning to lessening my time at work, hiring someone to replace me in the stressful work that I did. And even that was too much. I just had it. It's, if you're doing something you don't want to do,
Right.
it just kills you. And I just had the idea if I continued this, by the time I was 60, I would be like rich, but I'd be like dead inside all those years.
Right.
So around the time that I met you, like I had a dream that I wanted to live in Japan.
Okay.
When I was younger, I lived in Paris for 2 years and I just wanted to live in Japan. So I made that happen. I hired someone to replace me full-time in my worked remotely from Japan, and I moved to Japan and I lived there for a couple of years. And that's kind of the big shift in my life.
Okay. So at that point, you're in Japan, and is that when you met your current wife?
I met her around that time. Yeah.
Met her at that time. Okay. So you're in Japan for how long?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. And then that point, was Mahler Industries already sold, or were you still part
It
owner?
was sold within that 2-year period.
Okay. So you're in Japan, and then you come back to Vancouver again.
Yeah, I was coming back regularly
back
for
and forth,
work and to help facilitate the sale. We actually sold it to my foreman, so
Right.
he bought that. So I was in there coming back and forth, taking care of that. But within the first 3 months of living there, I knew that I wasn't going back to that life.
Okay.
And at that point, I had a choice. I was groomed to actually buy out because it's a family business. So I would have had to buy out my parents, be in debt, do something I hated, all of these things going on.
Right.
And I was like, that ain't going to happen.
Okay.
And we found a buyer, we sold, and that started the beginning of my new life.
Was it difficult to sell something that you had spent so long building up for over 2 decades?
Nope.
No.
Easiest thing I've ever done.
It was, and no regrets.
Zero.
Okay. So tell me now, how did you transition into professionally coaching people? How did that come about?
Well, so when I'm in Japan, so I'm still working for the company. I've got a paycheck, but what am I going to do with my time?
Right.
So before I went, I figured, I'm just going to get a teaching certificate and I'll teach English because that's what you do. It sounds like a fun thing to do.
Sure.
So when I get there, I start shopping around different schools and I'm like, man, this is the lousiest type of work you can imagine. They're just ridiculous what these companies, especially if you're just starting out. I'm sure if you've been there a while, you can dictate what you want. They would send me to the countryside and they wouldn't pay for my travel. I'd have to wait for 2 hours. And I thought, I'm not doing this.
Right.
So I signed up to a website called mysensei.com, essentially meaning myteacher.com, put up some picture of me going like this with my Mexican friends looking all gangster. And somehow people really related to this and they reached out and I would do a consult and then I would teach them.
Right.
And I got hired. But what I realized was that, man, I would ask questions because I was curious. I said, what are you studying English for? And they'd say, I want to do this. I want to build a company. So within that, they had some bigger ideas. So I thought, instead of just teaching, I'm going to help them do what they want to do. So the transition over 2 years was more and more. I would just ask them, what do you want to do with English? So essentially, I was coaching without knowing it. I was consulting without knowing it. And then from there, I'd really have some cool clients and they'd invite me to parties where I would meet people like the vice president of Banana Republic, Japan, who introduced me to some lawyer for NHK Tokyo. So within this, I'm living the best life I've ever had. So my days are exactly how I want them to be. I get paid for traveling where I go. They pay me actually better than most teachers. And I'm doing this thing. And I basically back then prototyped my life that I'm currently living now.
Did you use any of the experience that you learned working in
all of it.
Mahler Industries? You did?
All of it.
With the networking?
The networking, not so much.
Not
that
so
was
much.
just, I was free. I was just free to be Gary, basically.
Right. Okay.
So within that, and I was doing a lot of internal work during that time, in the disassembling of my previous life.
Right.
That came into play. And basically, instead of doing something I hated to do, I was doing something I really liked doing.
Okay. So you're in Japan and then you're coming back and forth to Vancouver. At what point do you figure, okay, I'm getting so busy now. Do you continue to teach people English or is it just strictly on coaching now?
It was both. And the decision was actually made for me because I kept on going back and forth on a tourist visa. And they said,
I see.
You've been back and forth since 2000, like 16 times. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, my girlfriend lives here and I'm just doing this. I've got my company. I get paid for it. Showed them the money I'm bringing, showed them, what I sold the company for. And they're like, yeah, that's great. Marry her or get a visa, but you can't continue doing this.
So what did you do?
Well, they gave me I would come in and out on 90-day visas, and they said,
Okay.
you've got a certain period of time, and if you stay longer than a certain time, and we won't tell you how long,
Right.
you're never coming back in the country again.
Okay.
So
Right.
after like 62 days, I cleaned up everything. I gave all my clients away to other teachers, other people. And then I took a summer to decide if I wanted to get married or not and
Okay.
have children at 45.
At 45. And I mean, I know what decision you make, but go from there. So what happened in that summer?
That summer, man, I just, like, at this point, I've sold my company, just finished something that I'm doing. And I know my wife is at a point that she wants to have kids. And like, I don't know if I want to have kids. And
Right.
she tells me very clear, make a choice, but don't choose to have kids to get me. Choose it because you want it. So she's
Sure.
very smart.
Right.
So I spent the summer, take that summer to really think. I went to Chiang Mai to do some meditation retreat. Then I went to Bali to go surfing, talk to some people, spent some time reflecting on what I want. And then I met like a kind of a newbie life coach who said, hey, I'll coach you. Let me help you out. And he goes, do this. Take a list and say all the positives of getting married and having kids, and take a list of all the negatives, put them in 2 envelopes and look at them both in 6 weeks.
Okay.
And never think about it again. And I did that. And after 6 weeks, I looked at it, and the decision became so clear. I wanted to get married.
You did. Okay.
Yep. So I invited my girlfriend to become my fiance. We go to Hawaii. I ask her to marry me in Kauai. I buy a 1-carat Tiffany diamond.
Nice.
And she says yes, until that evening when she's crying in bed next to me and says no. And I said, what? And she's like, you own this company. You were kind of creating something, but you're kind of fooling around in Tokyo, and I just don't know what you're about.
Okay.
Do you want your ring back? And I said, no, keep it.
Yeah.
I said, I'm coming to Japan in about 6 weeks because your dad is turning 65. So let's just leave it at that. So she goes, she's got the ring. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I did some internal work because I don't know what's happening. But I just asked someone to marry me, and they basically said no. And all of my friends are waiting back home. So, you know, Kelvin, you train Kelvin. Kelvin's waiting, Elaine's waiting, David Wong's waiting, you know, Catherine's waiting. All these people are waiting, and I'm not saying anything. And I come back, and she said no.
She said no, but she still got the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 6 weeks later, you go to Japan.
I go to Japan, but I made a decision that's very important.
Okay.
I'm sitting at the Hyatt Regency in Honolulu, and I said, okay, if she says no, I'm going to be the best damn playboy there is and have a girlfriend in every town.
Okay. Yeah.
Or I'm going to get married.
Right.
I'm going to figure this out. So for 6 weeks, I was just deciding what I wanted to do. And I said, if she thinks I'm kind of flaky, I'm going to see what it is that I want to do with my life. And I chose, man, I'm going to become a professional coach. And I chose the school I was going to do, where I was going to be certified, the type of things I was going to do. So I had it pretty much laid out in those 6 weeks. And I said, man, I'm going to study life coaching, get certified, executive coaching, get certified, leadership development, get certified in that, do mindfulness-based stress reduction. So, man, I just did everything I wanted to do to set myself up to become the best coach I could be for the world.
Right.
And I wasn't too worried about it. I never spoke to her again about that.
Okay.
Until we get there. And then we're both in Tokyo. I don't mention it. And I just don't know what the answer is going to be. And then finally we're at her dad's party, and she goes, I've made my choice. And I said, what is it? And she goes, I quit my job. She was a Roma massage therapist in a 5-star hotel. And she said, I'm moving in February. And then we got married August 12th, the day we met.
Right.
The same day we met.
Yeah.
In that year.
Awesome. Was it difficult for you to start all over again? I mean, you're starting a new career. I mean, coaching was something new to you. You're 45 years old. You left an industry that you were really successful in, and now you're starting something that's almost, and I don't want to say it's a complete 180 from what you were doing, because like you said, you had to use some of your experience that you gained in Mahler Industries over the years. But was it difficult to start all over again?
there's a chapter that I'm going to send you, or there's a book, or I'll send you a PDF that you can attach this so people can read what it was like. So for the first 2 years, it was very difficult.
It was. Okay.
Really hard.
Right.
I had a baby on the way.
Yeah.
I had some clients, but when you're used to, making some dough, and then anything you start, it starts slow.
Sure.
And then you get some doubts. You're not sure, how am I going to build this business? It was pretty hard for the first couple of years. And it was more the internal ideas I had myself. I've seen you've talked to some people about mindset. It was that.
Yeah.
That was a bit hard. So anytime that I'd be building the business, I was afraid that I wasn't spending time with them and all these things going on. And how do you build this? How do you market? How do you get yourself out there? I just had no idea.
Well, since that time, you've become quite successful as a professional coach. How have you built your business?
Anything that I've done, whether it was Mahler Industries or this kind of consulting, coaching business and tutoring business that I created, I decided I would be the best.
Okay.
It's kind of like what you do. If you're the best, what do? You hire the best, you get the best, you train with the best, you do the things that will get you there.
Right.
The biggest choice that I ever made was hire one of the best coaches in the business, Steve Chandler, the godfather of coaching.
Okay.
I came in contact with him through somebody who told me about him. I worked with him for 3 years, and we worked on building my business. And in that, I coached with him one-on-one, did a group program with him, did a smaller group program of 6 people. That work changed who I was as a human being.
It did.
Changed who I was as a husband, father, businessman, all of those things. And we spent probably 20% of our time working on the business. Most coaches will work 100% just on that, but I wasn't interested in that, at 47, 48 at the time.
Right.
I knew I could make it. I'd rather work on me.
Right.
And work on being a better man, husband, father, and coach. And I figured that would take care of itself. So in 3 years, that took care of itself. And it went from, I wouldn't say struggling, but just uncertain to just a knowing of what it is that I do, who I work with. Everything shifted. Right. And I had one goal during that time, and it was, I love my coach, Steve Chandler, but he had a coach that he spoke so highly of, and this guy is known as the ultimate coach. I just knew that I wanted to work with him.
Okay.
So the entry to work with him is 150 grand US a year.
Okay.
Or for 100 hours.
Right.
So I wanted to create that so I could work with Steve Hardison.
Right.
And the end of that story is, for the last 2 years, I've worked with Steve Hardison.
You have.
That has taken me to a level beyond
really
even what I did before. So in answer to your question is, what do I want?
Yeah.
And be willing to do whatever it takes to get what I want. And what it took was working with my coach, who was amazing. And he just helped me to get ready. And the thing that was so amazing was that when I worked with my current coach, he goes, I've never had anyone more prepared to work with me than you. And that's attributable to my work with Steve Chandler.
It's interesting to hear that you as a coach have a coach yourself. Is that very common in your industry, that coaches hire coaches?
Some people do.
Yeah.
The ones that are successful do. And really, all of the top coaches in the world that I know of,
right,
my milieu, they've all worked with Steve Hardison. Down there, Rich Litvin, Michael Niels, all these people, they've all worked with him.
Right. And, there's a model that says, to be the best, you have to work with the best. And I say that to all my clients all the time. I myself actually have worked with trainers who've taught me. I've hired people to teach me how to coach people, how to, do nutritional plans, training programs, supplement programs. I don't just, go on YouTube and just watch, how do you do this? Like, I want experience from someone who's had the success. And that's what you're doing right now. What type of clients do you work with?
Pretty much the criteria I have is they're breathing and they walk on 2 legs.
So anybody.
Anybody, but if you go to my website, there's 5 criteria, and I always forget exactly what they are, but basically it comes down to, I really got to fall in love with you if I'm going to work with you.
Okay.
If I'm going to spend a year, 2 or 3 years with you,
right,
man, you got to bring something to this that is interesting for me. You've got to come all in.
right,
You got to come that you are going to bare yourself naked to whatever shit, pardon me, in your life, and see how you've contributed to it.
yeah.
So every one of my clients is my best client.
So,
They come to it. So they've got to be willing to bring it. They've got to be willing to have something that they want to create that's more than just money, a job, a wife, a husband, or anything. We got to be able to go to what's beyond that.
right,
So who I work with, wine consultants, real estate agents, other coaches, psychiatrists, psychologists, executives.
right. Do your clients, let me ask you this, when you build up your clientele base, do your clients come to you through referrals, or where do they hear about you?
I meet them.
You meet
I
them.
meet
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
I meet them. And then they come from people that I've met who say, I've got someone who could use your help. Will you talk to them?
Right.
And I will talk to them. And I don't know that we will work together, but I do know that I can be of service and help to them. So my whole model is based on current clients, serving them so greatly that they want to continue with me and they want to share me with their friends. Basically,
right.
that's how I create clients.
And if you were to give me a description of the style of coaching that you do with people, is it dependent on the person you're working with? I mean, does your style of coaching change from person to person, or do you have a certain way that you go about teaching people and coaching people?
It really depends. I will coach people differently based on who they are. So it's all really based on who they are. But the type of coaching that I would say that I do is straight talk, straight line. I will create agreements so strong with my clients that I can tell them what I see without rubbing their nose in it.
Okay.
But they know that they're going to get the truth. And it's not definitive truth, but it's a possible truth that can set them free.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you work with people all over the world?
Yeah, international.
Internationally. So
I would say 15% are from Canada.
Oh, wow. Okay.
10 to 15, the rest are all over the world.
Really?
So this pandemic really hasn't done anything to my business. This is what I do. The only thing that's different is that my higher echelon clients get to spend time with me.
Right.
So the ones that are really top echelon, they spend 5 days with me.
Okay.
We're not doing that. I've had to cancel 3 people flying in to see me in May. Actually, right now, the 23rd of April, I was supposed to be with a client in Japan this week. That's not happening.
Not happening. But you can still meet that person online like you and I are doing right now.
Today, you're my 4th call today. So, I will do 3 calls. Today I've had someone in Phoenix call me. I've had someone in Massachusetts and someone in San Francisco.
Well, then that leads me to my next question. Then I know you have a wife. I know you have 2 young kids. How do you balance work with family life?
I give my life to my family and my clients get what's left after.
Okay. That's a good answer.
And my clients get everything. Today I went for a walk. My kids slept in a little bit. They were up a bit late. So I went for a walk so that when I'm done this call, my son wants to go skateboarding. So I wanted to do my exercise. So I went for a jog walk this morning between 6 and 7. I had a client who needed something. So we call it the bat phone. He goes, Gary, I need the bat phone. I'm like, good, I'm on my walk. Let's talk. For 30 to 40 minutes, okay. I was on with my client.
Right.
They get all of me.
Wow.
They get all of me. So in my life, my wife and kids get all of me. My clients get all of me. But never too much that I'm depleted. So
okay.
All day I was coaching. So I had this one call. I've had, he was in Portland, that client. So all day. At the end of this, I've got more than enough energy for my kids. So how I keep this is I don't work Mondays. That's strictly for my family. I work Tuesday to Friday, and I really don't do more than 3 calls a day.
Okay.
Coaching calls, there'll be 2-hour calls with a half an hour, 45-minute break between,
Right.
sometimes 1 hour, but I will do 3 clients and that's it.
So you're really good at managing any mental exhaustion then. You really pace yourself. You don't overwork yourself. You don't burn yourself out. Wow.
My clients, what I give to them is so valuable that when they need me, basically I'm there. None of them ever abuse it.
Right.
But I was on a walk yesterday. I had another client say, I've got a situation. It's like, hey, let's get on there. If I get off of this and someone calls me, I will be there for them. They've got a 24, like pretty much, 24-hour a day hotline. If I'm sleeping and they need something when I'm up, I find the time for them. So my job is to be ready for them.
Okay.
So on my website, it says, I'm always thinking about you. So it's not like I'm always thinking about you, but every time in the morning when I create my day, my clients are crossing my mind. How's he doing with that? What's going on over there? I'm always with them. So this is where in my current business model, it's project-based. The project is you. The project is your life. It's something in your life. I'm there for you all of the time. It's kind of like if you're doing a reno, you've got your guy, or if you've got an architect who finds out about your life to design, that's what I'm doing.
So you're really committing a lot of yourself to your clients.
All of me.
Right. So no wonder why you expect them to commit themselves to you and take it seriously.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
Do you do any meditation or anything in the morning just to get yourself ready for the day, like mental preparation?
It's changed. What I've learned from my coach is I create who I am.
Okay.
And I create who I am in every moment. So,
Right.
I mean, we kind of went there a little bit, but I can tell you who I am. I'll just read it to you so that it just comes across. But every day and every moment, I get to choose who I am. This is something that I've created with my coach.
Right.
So I am infinite stillness, born of ease and flow. I am pure connection to the all-powerful, and I create what I want.
Very cool.
I'm generous and warm-hearted. I am powerful. I live a life of freedom. I am at liberty to be infinite patience.
Wow.
I am love. Coming from love, I am forgiveness and understanding. So a lot of people would think something like that is an affirmation. This isn't an affirmation. This is who I am. It's more powerful than that. It's a declaration. It's like the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
I create this in every moment and in every interaction that I'm with, whether I'm with you or my clients or the guys at Reckless or the people at Matchstick Coffee, doesn't matter. I'm the same Gary in every situation. And sometimes that Gary acts like a bonehead. So all I do is I come back and I'm at liberty to be infinite patience with myself so I can come back home all of the time. So today, in all of my coaching calls, we've worked on different aspects of their life. But the one thing in common that we've worked on with each one of them, whatever they're doing, we change how they're being in a situation and how the situation is. They change everything in their lives.
Really?
So all of my clients, man, basically what I love to say is I worked with myself in 97 when I was kind of a dick to my ex or to this, to that. They're just becoming the most amazing wives or husbands or business owners. We change that. Suddenly their team is more cohesive. Suddenly they're a better leader. Suddenly they're making money. Suddenly they find the job. That's the common denominator. And this is where I differentiate myself from other coaches. It's like, if you're a coach and you hire me to learn how to make money or get clients, I won't take you. I won't take you. I don't do that. No, what I'm going to do is we're going to change you and you're going to get the clients.
Would you say you're a completely different person than you were, let's say 15, 20 years ago?
There's no remnant of that. Back then, I didn't know who I was.
Okay.
Now I'm very clear who I am.
Right. And, when I first met you, you mentioned that you were a dick a few years ago. I've never seen that side of you. You've always been a great guy since I've known you. But when I first met you, you were a young single guy. You're living on your own in downtown Vancouver. And now you're married with 2 kids. What's that like? What's that transition?
It's the best thing that I've ever experienced.
Is it? Yeah.
When I made that choice, I didn't know what I was stepping into, but every day I choose how I'm going to be in that.
Right.
And then who I am to these kids, who I am to my wife. And every day is a positive adventure, because these kids, I never know what they're going to bring. They're
Sure.
so funny. They're so amazing. A lot of people think that when you get married, it's a ball and chain and you can't live the life you want. And one of the things that I told my wife, I said, I promise you, we're going to have an unconventional life. I want to travel. I want to be able to be in Japan a month out of the year. I want to be in Hawaii 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
I wanted to have an international practice where I'm flying all over the world.
Sure.
I wanted that, and I create that. So in answer to your question, Kelvin would always tell me, I'm more free being married than not married. And I never got that, but I get that now, because to have a woman that is my partner and allows me to be free to create, man,
Right.
she gets as much credit to building this business as anything.
That's great. Oh, I'm really happy for you. You've done so
Mm.
well. You were successful when I first
Thanks.
met you, and it seems like you're even more
Oh, thank you.
successful now. And I don't just mean financially. I
Uh,
just mean like you seem very at peace with yourself, and you're doing so well with your coaching.
Man, this is really my dream work. So if
Yeah.
anyone out there doesn't know what it is,
Right.
my advice would be take the steps to what it is that you want. I wanted to be within Tokyo or to move to Japan. That led me to doing some stuff I wouldn't have done, which opened my mind up. And then I just tried different things, which set me on this path.
Right.
Got me to hiring Steve Chandler, got me to hiring Steve Hardison, which really changed my life, which really upped my game as a coach. And then from there, it was very clear how I want my business to be. And, basically I don't cater to the masses. I cater not only to, I've got a friend, he's in the UK. He calls himself a coach to the elite. And I love it,
Okay.
because this guy looks like James Bond. He lives on Seville Row. That's his thing. I wouldn't say that I coach the elite, but I coach the people that have already made it. They know how to make it, and they're kind of tired of grinding through life.
Right.
And if you're tired of that, and you're tired of what it takes to get what you have, we're going to make it that you get what you want, but in a way of you do it how you want to do it.
So if someone
That's what I work with.
if
Yeah.
someone like that then is looking for a coach, do you yourself,
Mm.
do you still have open spaces on your roster? Because I know how busy you are. I mean, if someone were to contact you and say, hey, Gary, I want to commit to this program, would you be able to see them right now?
I would, because
You would.
I dictate my amount of time,
Right.
and it really depends who and where, but I've always got pockets of time. So when I say really like I'm full, basically I love what I have, and there are people who would like to work with me,
Right.
and I've put that out a little bit,
Yeah.
but there's always something that I can do. But basically in this pandemic, like right now,
Right.
there's 3 spots that I could say that were on my calendar that I've kind of just taken away, because I like, like after this call, I get to be with my family.
Family.
Or if there's a 1 p.m. that's open, but I can be with my family, man, during the pandemic, I'm going to do this. However, if there was something that was just right, man, it's like anything. It's like, yeah, no, I would do that.
You make it work. And, I've been very fortunate over the years. I built up my own clientele base, and there's only so many
Mm.
hours in a day. And I always tell people, yeah, I'm busy, but you know what? If you're really serious about, in my industry, it would be getting in shape, losing weight, building muscle, transforming your physique, I'm going to make time for you. I'm going to find that time slot.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
That's a good coach. So if someone did want to get in contact with you, what would be the best way to go
Yeah.
about doing that?
You can reach me on Facebook Messenger, Gary Mahler, or glmahler at gmail.com. You can get through to me. And really, if there's something you'd want to talk to me about, if anything really resonates, yeah, you can feel free to talk and ask anything. And there's nothing that I want really from anyone. At this point in my life, I can honestly say there's really not anything that I'd want from anyone.
That's great. I'm going to put a
So
link.
if you need, I can try and help. And then this is all of my clientele, like, man, just through referral, invitations, or they want, we create it as we go along.
Yeah.
This is the best time.
Well, and I can vouch for that, because I contacted you the other day and I said, hey, Gary, you know, I started a new YouTube channel. Would you be interested in coming on? And right away you said, absolutely. Like, no problem. You make time for me. And, you know, I know you're a busy guy and you still like, when works for you? So you always do
Yeah.
make time for people. You always have.
Man, this is how I create relationships. Like, really,
Yeah.
you and me, we're both in the relationship business. You create a relationship, people want to be around you and they want to experience your energy. That's why I train with you or trained with you. I mean, it's like that energy and working together, that synergy, that's everything. And a lot of people don't see in the service industry, that's everything.
That's right. 100%. I agree with you.
Relationship. Yeah.
I'm going to put a link in the description of this video below. I'm going to include your website, your email, your Instagram, your Facebook, all your contact information. I think it's really important if you are someone who is looking for a coach. I can vouch for Gary. He's one of the best that I know, just overall, not only as a professional, but just as a person. You know, and he does give you his undivided attention when he's with you. So I think that's really important. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Man, it's good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you. I love the work you're doing. Seriously, like, just in every instance that I've known you, whatever part it is, whether it's nutrition, working out, group programs, or anything, you care so much about everyone that you come in contact with.
I appreciate that.
It's really amazing to see. And then just the results and just even what you're creating here in service of people, especially during this time, just to interview people and have people hear something different than what's going on out there. Right. It's really great. I just really love what you've been up to these years.
Thank you.
And you keep on crushing it.
Well, hopefully. I mean, someone asked me the other day, how long are you going to continue this channel for? And I said, as long as I can, but I said, eventually I'm going to have to go back to work. So I don't know if I'll be able to keep doing one video a day. But for now, you know, I mentioned to you off camera, I'm having fun doing this. I don't think of this as work. I'm enjoying every single person I'm talking to. So it's a great way for me to reconnect with people.
And you know what else that I can sense? If you love doing this and can see a way of being of service to someone and making a business out of it,
right?
Like, you would be all over it. Like, just how you've transformed your own business.
Right.
And the other thing that I love about you is you only do what you want. You don't do what you don't want. And there's a Garyism, if I can share, that a client got out of me, and then I'll let you go, is I say this, I don't do what I don't want to do, even if it gets me what I want. I only do what I want to do, and it always gets me what I want.
That's so true. You know, there's...
Man, and that's what you live. It's like, yeah, I won't do that, but no, I would do that.
Yeah. And you know, what's funny when you say that, because people say, well, you're so lucky because you can do that. I don't think luck has anything to do with the position that you're in or the position I'm in. We're doing what we like doing, and we've worked for that. We can just wake up one day and say, okay, give me the job as a personal trainer, give me the job as a professional coach. We worked our asses to get there.
We did. And there's something else that's even, it's very subtle, but we created that.
Right.
So there's a distinction I'll leave you with: motivation versus self-creation. And I think in yours, what's your saying? You do the determination, or we'll give the motivation? Or
yeah, we always say that our saying is that we always say, you provide the determination and we'll provide the motivation.
Beautiful. You know, what I provide is the self-creation.
Right.
I go one step further. Like, for me in my work is, man, if you want to do something, motivation isn't even a factor. You just do it.
You just do it. Yeah.
You just do it. It's like Nike. You just do it. And that's what you've done. That's what I've done.
Yeah.
You don't really think too much. It's like, no, I'm going to do this. And man, I think about this, like, this industry, there's yours as well. If you think, there's quite a lot of flakes in our industry.
Big time. Exactly.
Right. And we're able to say that with a straight face. And we're like, that's fine. But you know what we want to be? You want to be the best trainer and coach for the world. I want to be the best coach for the world. And how do I do that? I be the best man, husband, father, and coach. The business takes care of itself.
Yeah. And, you know, just to add to that, there is a stigma in both our industries that there are very flaky people. And I think sometimes it's hard for guys like you and I to break through that sometimes, especially with people who are a little weary of working with us because they've heard of that reputation. So that's why I want
to... You know what happens though?
What's that?
You know what happens though? they spend 2 minutes with you,
Yeah.
30 seconds with you.
Yeah.
They spend virtually no time with me and they go, man, you're not like them.
Yeah. They realize you're a no nonsense guy and that you're fully in, your undivided attention goes to them, and, you know, your work ethic speaks for itself too. You know,
Man,
that shows. Gary, I want to thank you so much once again.
Man.
I'd love to do this again with you, another follow-up, probably in a few months or so. I love talking to you.
Anytime we can get into some other aspects, but if anyone has any questions or sends you stuff,
I'd
be happy to help out.
I'm going to put all your contact information. Thing is, I know I could end up talking to you for a long time, because you and I have done 60-minute sessions that have sometimes gone beyond that, just from after the session, just talking. Totally. That doesn't make me sound too good as a trainer, but you know, I've always enjoyed talking with you. So.
Well, I can vouch for you. Like, there's never one time you let me slough it off. And if I'm like talking to you, get back to work.
We saved the conversation for after the workout, but I love talking with you. Gary, thanks again.
Thanks so much, dude.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
I will.
This video should be going up on Thursday, most likely Thursday evening. So it's something to look forward to. Yeah, awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll put it on my website. I'll hand it out.
I appreciate that.
See you, Nick. Great seeing you.
All right, Gary. Great seeing you. Have a great day.
See you.
Thanks so much. Bye.